about the Colorado River watershed where the water comes from. And I'm going to talk about the Tijuana watershed. And as I told you, the 44th agreement shows Rio Colorado, Rio Bravo, Rio Colorado, and Tijuana. This one is the smallest one, and this one is a dry watershed. We don't have these problems about how much water he's going to give it to us because we don't have water. But this is some graphic representations of the watershed. This is the watershed, here's the ocean. And right here is the border. I don't have nothing against you guys, but the border is strategically placed. You can see the blue areas is where the more precipitations we have, more water we have, and the border is right here. So, here is the border. It goes right here, like this. This is the border. 1/3 in the United States, 2/3 in Mexico. And here, in 1927, Mexico made a study and said, like, we will have a problem with water. So we have to build like 3 reservoirs so we can have this prevention for water. And they were talking about, yes, let's do it, and how much we're gonna spend, and then they started planning the Abelardo de Rodriguez Dam. They said that we needed 3, and they did 1. But it's 1927. But in 1912, the United States had already built the Morena Reservoir and Butler Lake. So they have these 2 reservoirs. So the border is here, and we have these 2 reservoirs. We have here the city of Tecate. I know that all of you have drank sometimes a Tecate, a good cold Tecate, no? And what's a good cold Tecate is water. And why the brewery, is how it says, was settled here in this city? Because it had water. That's why it was settled, the brewery here. But since you guys, the United States built these 2 dams, well, we don't have this, the water doesn't go down to this part of the watershed, so they use the underground water, and now there's no water. So in this area, we are in the watershed. United States is in the upper watershed, Mexico is in the lower. So we are affected because the water is kept in the upper, so we don't have water in the lower. But at the end of because as I told you, it's an open watershed, and all the water drains to the ocean. Here comes the rivers. In this part, Mexico is in the upper watershed, and United States is in the lower, so they are affected. So we have shared the guilt here in this part and also in this part. So what we can see, it's like this drains, and it starts in the United States, it goes to Mexico, it goes to the United States, it goes to Mexico, goes through the whole city of Tijuana, and then at the end, it goes to the United States, to the ocean. So it gets very complex to work with this, because the border should be here. So we can manage the watershed, but since it's cut in the middle, well, almost the middle, it's very difficult. So the problems that we have is how the water flows, and all the problem that you can see. You have the whole city of Tijuana here. You don't have the whole city of San Diego or San Isidro, Imperial Beach. You have a little piece here, but the other ones is another watershed, in San Diego watershed. So we have this big problem about how we work with this, and also another problem in Tijuana, it's about the water. The water from the Colorado River that cross here, it crosses to Mexico, and then there's another thing that the water, when it crosses to Mexico, it goes to the district of the agriculture, because it was mainly for agriculture, the water. And the cities has their share. It said this amount of water, you can see the statistics in all over the world, and it said 70% of the water goes to agriculture, and that percent goes to city, and that percent goes to, so it's the same here. So they have all this water, and the cities have their share. Since the city has been growing so much, the amount that they're supposed to get is not enough. So what they're doing is they're going with the agriculture and saying you have a lot of water. Why don't we do a deal, and you sell me part of the water so I can use it in the cities. And the corporations say, okay, I can do that. I don't have to work hard and harvest my land. I can sell the water. So right now, I know for sure from the Tijuana city, is they're buying a lot of water, more like half of the water from the agriculture. So the share that the city has, and then the water from the agriculture that they are selling. Mexicali, and then it enters in Mexicali, and then there's a big pipe, and then they have to pump the water through the aqueducto, 1 kilometer. So it's a lot of energy. It has to go 1 kilometer. We have a little. Well, it's very small, but like here's Mexicali. It has to go 1 kilometer up. There are like 5 huge pumps, and it goes like, they pump it here, 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 here. It goes up here. Then it will go down, and it gets to this reservoir that is El Carrizo. That it was made to receive the water from the Colorado, so we can level, and then they pump it to the potabilizadoras, to be used for the city, and then they distribute it to the city. From here, they send the water to Tecate, they send water to Rosarito, Ensenada, and Tijuana. And we have this presa del Carrizo is how the water comes from Mexicali to here, and then they distribute it. It requires a lot of energy. And last year, I don't know if you knew, but our last governor, they forgot to pay the electricity. So the Federal Electricity Company, la Comisión Federal de Electricidad, they cut the electricity. If you're not paying, you're cut. So they didn't pump water for a week because they didn't have electricity, because they didn't pay. And so those type of things, like these things that it looks like a joke, or you can hear like a joke, is very, very important, because if something happens to our energy or to our aqueduct, as you can see in the States, you have reservoirs. In Mexico, the Presa Abelardo de Rodriguez is contaminated and is all sludge. It doesn't have water that we can use. So we don't have any water reserve for an emergency. And the water that is here, it will last like 2 weeks. So we have an earthquake that we hope not, and the aqueducto is damaged, and it takes a month or 2 months to repair. We don't have water, a drop of water. So that's something very, very frightening. This is another photo of this area. It's like more, here's Tecate, here's the Presa Carno, and you can see here, like, you have Lake Morena, you have Lake Bacler, you have Otay Reservoir, you have Sweetwater Reservoir, and then you have a lot of more reservoirs. San Diego also depends from the Colorado River water. But 15 years ago, or a little more, the government or the county of San Diego, they say we have to think about how we can get more water. We have to do some provision. We have to divide our sources. So they started to work. Right now, they depend around the 20% on the Colorado River. Because what they did, they checked the reservoirs, that they were good, they were fine, they were full. They checked their infrastructures, that there were not leaks. They put a desalination plant. They put a reclamation plant. They pay the citizens to change their garden and don't have, I love, but it takes a lot of water. And they did a lot of things. And now when the cut that we have from the agreement from 1944, it's about 25% of the source of the water. So it will impact, but it won't impact like us. That is 100%, and then any cut, it will be a lot of water. So we have to start talking about this, and we have been talking to the government, but the answer that I had two answers that I don't like, and I get really, really mad. One answer is, don't worry, we have the agreement, the treaty, and they have to deliver the water. It's like, how? And the other answer is, don't worry, we have the ocean. We are all set up. I said, okay. But we have an authority that is broke. They don't have a penny. So, and I said, you're gonna drink the water or what? How are we gonna get the water from the ocean? So it's a lot of things. And I want to show you the infrastructure so we can understand how this is how the water comes here. It comes through the Carrizo and then around here is the potabilizadora. How you say, like where you make the water.
Drinking water.
Yeah, like to filter to drinking water is here, and then it distributes to the whole city. So it's how the water comes from. So it comes from the Colorado here, and then it goes through here, and then it gets to your house.